our midnight movie review of 1980s cult classic slasher Prom Night, featuring the Scream Queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis, and is directed by Paul Lynch. Our tagline today is, "It's not who you come with, it's who takes you home." Four seniors have been hiding the truth of what happened years before to fellow student Robin Hammond. They keep the secret of how they bullied and frightened Robin to death, even though it ultimately was an accident. The then 12-year-olds are afraid and never take responsibility. That day, someone else was watching. Now that someone has chosen prom night for revenge. So we don't want to give too many spoilers, but initially the movie starts in 1974. There are 11-year-olds playing in what seems to be later mentioned as a nunnery. You hear children screaming, "The killer's coming, the killer's coming, the killer's coming."
Killers are coming! Killers are...
The oldest is Kim, who will later be played by Jamie Lee Curtis, correct? She leaves to go back to school because she forgot a book, leaving her brother and sister there. The brother says that he is going to go home. The little sister is intrigued and wants to play with the other kids who are older. I gather that the two other kids are supposed to be 6. So, and you know how 11-year-olds would usually be at that age. So they didn't take too kindly with Robin joining the game. She walks into the nunnery, she joins the other kids. They're chanting, "The killer's coming, the killer's coming." She wants to play too. Once they spot her, they aren't too happy about it. They start coming together and chanting and chasing her, screaming, "The killer's coming! The killer's gonna get you!" They corner her in front of a window, and she actually, for whatever reason, voluntarily crawls up onto a ledge. It's in front of a broken window. I guess the chanting gets to her?
Yeah, I don't know what those kids were, like, their plan was. They just want to spook her?
I gather. I don't know why she just basically just threw herself backwards through the window. She falls, we see her fall. I gather it was the window above her fell also when she went through the window. It landed on top of her, you see her neck sliced. Police come. Leslie Nielsen, who plays the father and also the principal of the high school, is Robin and Alex's and Kim's father. He's there looking around the nunnery out the window where she fell. I was like, why? Because he comes outside of the nunnery because the police pull up and they have the children's mother and the children all there where the dead body is. They're literally putting this child in the coroner's van, and they all pull up, the mother sobbing. And then bam, it's however many years later, and Kim is a senior in high school, Alex is a junior, and the 3, or was it 4? There's 4 kids, right?
Yeah.
That were chanting. They are also high school seniors. That would be Wendy, Jude, Kelly, and Nick. We find out that I guess it was Kelly and Nick have been dating of the group.
Yeah.
But Nick breaks up with her and is now attempting to date Kim. All these years though, they have kept the secret of what they did, which they honestly, other than being little jerks, they didn't do anything. It was an accident. But previously we found out that because of how everything happened, they assumed that it was an adult who killed Robin, as the children kept it a secret. Supposedly no one else knew. So they went after a supposed pedophile who he was like or something of that such.
Yeah, they don't really go into detail and explain.
Yeah, basically it's like a flashback of what those cops did to that poor, I mean if he's a pedophile, you know, but they went after him hardcore. They chased him in a car. The car flips, catches on fire. The pedophile or man that they are after in general catches on fire, runs from the car. He's laying there burning. They lock him up in an asylum, and they think the case is closed. They caught the person that killed Robin. When we flash to prom, the day of prom, apparently he has escaped somehow.
A lot of things are very, like, happenstance, like, this all happened within a day or two.
Coincidental. Well, actually, it's the day of prom is what it flashes to. And we find out that this person that they think was involved in the killing has escaped from the mental asylum. But honestly, what I thought was very funny was before we find out that information, is it before or after that, where these teenagers start getting what is described as obscene phone calls. Yeah. But they weren't necessarily obscene. They were just the worst, breathy, growly voice saying these kids' names over the phone. And like the kids, they don't make anyone aware basically of anything that's going on this entire time. Once again, they just kind of, it's like, do these children or these teenagers, do they often get obscene phone calls for them to just brush it off so casually?
I would have to guess the way that they act.
Because I can't, I'm going to try to reenact the sound. The sound of, okay, so it's like, it was the least scariest thing ever. It honestly sounded like somebody with laryngitis.
The acting was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, it was not. But what kills me is that he makes these obscene calls first thing in the morning before school even starts.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids are just getting ready for school, and all of a sudden they hear this saying their name over the phone, and they just hang up the phone and casually go about their lives, brushing it off like it's barely a blip on their radar. They have prom to contend to. They need to
They
get
have
to school.
important things to do.
Exactly, right? So the fact that they just brush this off, that it's just hilarious. And then in no time is any adult aware of basically anything. The cops are panicking about the guy escaping. The parents are oblivious. I don't want to give a whole lot away, but murders happen, and everybody's clueless. clueless. To me, especially since we got what was his name, Lou Unibrow, is what we referred to him as. Unibrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was like the Wish or Timu version of John Travolta in Carrie.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It had that feeling
Yeah,
to
this
it.
whole movie, like, when did Carrie come out? Because this was made in the late 70s.
This was made in 1980. Carrie came out in the late 70s. I think it was 78. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it felt
It felt like a ripoff.
it felt like Friday the 13th meets Carrie.
Yeah.
It did. We cracked up the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I don't know what it was, but it was more funny than particularly scary to
the
me.
one scene that gets me the most, it's like one of the first scenes whenever they're in the school, and just try to like kiss her, and she moves out the way so swiftly that he slams his face into the locker.
Yeah.
That made me crack up.
Well, I still can't get over Lou's unibrow. He looks like, the textbook Neanderthals.
Yeah.
I think that's what maybe they were going for, because he had such a prominent brow to go along with that very obviously like fake unibrow.
Yeah. Like,
you can see the hairs drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The eyeshadow on it.
Yeah, it's just very obvious.
prominent.
Yes. What I feel was lackluster was the method of killing.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get the mirror shard
Yeah.
as being the murder weapon. First of all, real. You're not gonna do. I mean, at the end, he was wielding an axe, but before that, everybody was getting a mirror shank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was trying to play, go back and play into the window glass, killing her. That's the only thing I can figure.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you bust the window and get you a shard out of the window then? I just don't understand
A lot
the
of stuff does not make
juxtaposition.
sense.
Yeah,
so.
I don't get the juxtaposition. Like, I can't equate just because the mirror is glass that. And then all of a sudden, why did he switch it to?
Maybe those shards broke. He just gave up.
Yeah, because he went really hard with Kelly. He chased her and chased her through that school, and he was very angry. He probably did snap that sucker with her, because at the end, he pulled out that he was wielding that sucker. And we don't want to give away the twist ending. You have to find out for yourself, watch for yourself, and figure out who the killer is. You don't know if it is our escapee or someone else who witnessed what happened. But I'd give it a watch just for the funny factor.
Yeah, it's a good laugh.
The dancing. Disco madness. It was madness,
It was a
all
theme.
right. I mean, I know, okay, the movie came out in 1980. And disco was probably made in like 79, which is disco is still a big thing and everything. So we're far removed from that. So while I like some disco music, just
Yeah, I like the whole aesthetic
yeah.
of the film.
I like the way it looked. I like the way it looked, the way it was filmed. It was very, I don't know, it just had a haze over the whole movie, kind of like it was a dream or something. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the aesthetic. Oh gosh, so early 80s, painfully early 80s. I say that as someone born in 1982. Boy, it was very accurate to that time frame. But the dancing was wretched. I've never seen so many people off beat in one scene. Jamie Lee Curtis, she was shaking it. She was doing her very best in her scene where she was getting down, trying to show Kelly, who had recently broke up with Nick, what for. She said, "Let's show him what we got," and she did. She got up there, she shook it, but you could see the camera panning towards her and away from Nick.
Yeah, entirely takes the whole scene off of him because it's supposed to be a group dance.
He could not
together.
Yeah,
They
he
could
couldn't
keep
keep
up
up
with her.
yeah. She was shaking that groove thing, but he could not keep up. Poor thing.
Yeah.
Once again, the movie was hilarious. It wasn't very bloody. You rarely saw.
Yeah, it was like an hour into it before somebody actually got killed.
Yes, we paused it whenever the first kill finally happened.
Mhm.
An hour and 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Before someone actually, other than Robin, dies. It was it dragged its heels.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, when you watch Terrifier, automatic, so we got to find something in the middle. That was just, it took way too long to get the party started.
Just dragging it out. It didn't even feel like a horror movie at that point.
But then what feels funny is they were trying to develop characters, but I didn't even feel the character development.
Yeah, there was no connection. Like,
Yeah.
there wasn't anything happening.
It was very rigid acting. You could tell that a lot of these people were unknown. Of course, the best actor is going to be Jamie Lee Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, she was only slightly tested. I think she did Halloween, maybe another movie before this one.
Yeah.
And of course, she was great in those. And she's still great. She's amazing, awesome, wonderful. And I'll watch her in anything. But her and Leslie Nielsen did the best acting. What got me, though, was at the end, the father and mother were nowhere to be found. All this stuff has happened.
What did
And
he
he's
say?
the principal.
He was taking her for a walk or something? How
The
long was that
reasoning
walk?
for so many things that happened in this movie was just so off. Is
Yeah.
at the end, and Kim is supposed to be crowned queen, and the parents should be there. The dad's the principal.
Mhm.
And at one point, just before the end, the dad, Leslie Nielsen, is talking to Kim, his daughter, and he tells her that, because it's also on the day, it's like the 6th anniversary of Robin's death.
Mhm.
At the end, the parents just disappear. He tells her at one point that he says, "I took your mother for a walk because she's just she was so antsy, and which she was very upset the whole day. You see a scene where they're at the cemetery and she's bawling and stuff like that, understandable. But she winds up going with her husband to prom because he's also there because he's the high school principal.
Mhm.
And so he says, "I took her for a walk," past tense. And then by the end of the movie, they're nowhere to be found. I was like, did he take her on another walk? Was this supposed to imply?
How many walks do we need? Is she that stressed?
What's funny is Jamie Lee Curtis says to him, "Oh, she's probably just nervous." And I'm like, nervous about what? About Kim getting crowned prom queen? That's the only thing I could figure. What is she nervous about? I mean, I understand what the day is, but that would be upset. Oh, she's probably just upset or something like that. But she says nervous, so I didn't know what the nervous meant. And then he's already taken her for a walk. All this stuff happens at the end, and they're gone. No principal at the prom.
Yeah, there's barely really
No
any
dad,
supervision or adults in this movie.
Yeah, it's like these. But the thing is too, is because all of the people playing teenagers are literal 35-year-olds.
Yeah.
Kelly herself, well, I kept cracking jokes, which I do through movies, drives her crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the fact that she looked like a 35-year-old realtor who had toddlers at home,
Mhm.
that was basically, and that was all of them. Which I can understand with especially the first death because it's the 1980s, it's a horror movie. Of course, you're gonna see full frontal when it comes to females, correct?
Mhm.
So I can understand why you'd have to have someone older than that. But everybody else was flipping middle-aged.
Yeah.
And I know how young Jamie Lee Curtis was at that point, but everybody around her seriously looked ancient.
Yeah.
But I recommend the movie just for the tickle factor. It tickled me. It was hilarious more than it was scary. There's not a huge amount of gore. Like I said, there's one scene where you see a little full frontal. I did read that they literally had to go back and reshoot some stuff because it was so tame that they were afraid that no one would want to see a horror movie with a PG rating. And this is with them pumping it up It was barely anything. Yeah, it wasn't obtusely like I said. It took a long. It was a long slog. So the music, they initially did it with popular disco music at the time, but they didn't want to pay for the rights; it would be too pricey. So their poor person that does their music, they had to go back and write a bunch of songs and have them recorded in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, it was like, what, 3 days or so?
I think it was shorter than that. But that poor guy he had to pump out the music, and so none of this is name brand music. It's not name brand disco. It's this guy came up with it. But I also read that a lot of people love the soundtrack, and it's cult classic-y too.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I said, there's certain things I really loved about it. It's funny. It's not meant to be funny, but it's funny. It's like the aesthetic of it and the look of the filming was very nice. There were at least 2 good actors, Leslie Nielsen and Jamie Lee Curtis. I feel like this was a passion project for someone, and they tried their best, but it was a little weak sauce on the horror front. Yeah. But I'd still recommend it. I find it hilarious.
It's definitely not a serious movie. Don't take it too seriously.
Well, How Lou Dies.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
a time.
because this person did not just go. They're like whoever you're associated with. He also, so it wasn't just like let's go after these 4 people. It's like if you're in cahoots with them, shwick.
You and your friend group.
No,
actually.
yes, no holds barred.
Yep.
So, but how he, I'm not gonna give it away. You gotta see it for yourself. How he is taken out, and
Yeah, words cannot describe
I
the
died.
scene.
Poor Jamie Lee Curtis though. She did. Let's just say she did not get her moment in the sun.
Yeah.
No, everything went awry. But then the ending is just so abrupt too. There's just like you get your answer, they cut you off.
Yep.
There's no explanation. There's no reasoning. There's no thoughts from who did it.
Yeah, it's
There's
not
just
a
like,
regular slasher film at all.
yeah.
Oh, Risley. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Today we are giving Prom Night 2 stabs.
Now for our question of the day. What movie horrified you the most?
I do not get horrified easily from horror movies. They don't really have any effect on me, but the one that really grossed me out, I would say, is Barbarian. A lot of the scenes in that movie are very gross and disturbing, so that's one for me.
I haven't seen that one. The one that does it for me is the original Terrifier. What I couldn't really get past was the female mutilation. It was a little heavy for me. It felt targeted. I'm sure lots of people will disagree with that, but it felt that way to me. And I understand what the director has said, how he was raised in a house full of women and whatnot, but gee golly.
Gee golly.
that was something. So yeah. I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't watch more though. It's intriguing. It's horrible, but that's the point, right? It was very intriguing. I want to see more, even though I also do not want to see more. I think that is horror in itself.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Make sure you stay tuned for our next video, the beginning of our summertime slasher series. More bloody things to come.
Goodbye.